him right here by my water. Because I lose it all the time.
I know.
Used to have like 50 picks up here, and I got nothing.
You got one.
I got one.
One's enough.
And I got a spare in my pocket, but I lost it already. Red or gray, if you see them lying around. They're mine. Well, our lesson today is One Heart. I got inspired by this Denise Rosier song we're going to be doing after the lesson today. That's called One Heart. But she talks about how there's one heart, one mind, one power. And so I was thinking, wow, that like covers it all right there. When we can really get into the understanding and feel that truth, one power, one mind, one heart, that's the way that we see spiritual activity happening in our lives. That's the way that we experience how God is law. God is law. And how that looks in our life is, you know, we're either walking by faith or we're walking by sight. Now, when we walk by sight, we get caught up in conditions, and then we start worrying, we start doubting. We're doubting God working through us, and we maybe think the universe doesn't have our back, and we see a problem over here, and we start fretting about that problem, and we give our power to the things that are outside of us. We blame, like, well, if this guy hadn't done this thing, 25 years ago, now look, like we're all like messed up because of this one thing. And so walking by sight will always get us the same result. We'll spiral into the problem and we'll feel worse. Now, walking by faith will also always get us the same result in that when we walk by faith, we're embodying our divine nature, our Christ nature, our great I am consciousness. We're thinking from there. And so in faith, it doesn't mean everything out here is perfect, but when we're walking by faith, we change our direction. We're going towards solutions instead. So when we're in faith, we can say, well, yeah, there is this thing happening right here, and it is really scary, but, right, God is in all things. God is in all things, and, solutions then can come from the most surprising places. When we are walking by faith, it is law then. We'll always have the same results. That's what law means. You always get the same results. Right, the law of gravity, like it's not changeable, never. So the law of faith, or the law of God as law, never changes. So when we're walking by faith, we'll always, things may not become easy, but we'll always be presented with opportunities that open the way for us to expand who we really are on this planet. Okay, so one power, I'm going to talk about this today. One power, one mind, one heart, how all that works together. But one power is God. God is the all. And we talk about this in Unity all the time. And you can even come here and visit me during the week, and somehow I'll bring up how God is all things, and that means me. Deanna, what did you have for lunch? Well, I had a cucumber salad. God is all things, and that means cucumbers. Like it's become part of my regular everyday vernacular. Like I'm always saying it. And because it used to sound really weird to me to say that. So I decided, I'm going to say it all the time until it doesn't sound weird anymore. So now I'm just like saying it all the time. But here in Unity, we do have our favorite affirmations tend to be around God is my source, right? God is my power. God gives me everything I need. God is the source of my supply. The reason God is our source is because God is all things. And God is the activity in all things. God is everything that's ever been and everything that's yet to be. And so, like, you may need to go get a tank of gas, and God won't just magically fill your gas tank up, but God worked through somebody, like God's working through us as our constant creativities, constantly the next thing that we do. So someone somewhere opened up a gas station, right? And so this is how God is at work in all things. I know that just sounds silly, but when we think of God as the source of our supply, we don't want to be thinking in intangibles, like, well, if I'm really good, it'll just magically appear out of the ethers. No, everything here is available to us, and we're guided to it through our faith. We just know. Now, it doesn't take an act of faith to go gas up your car. I know that. But it is a thing that you know, right? You know you have to go to a gas station. And faith is also that feeling of just knowing. We just know. So this one power, God is all things, but God is also the activity in all things. So God is the idea that you've received, right? So God is also the activity in all things. God is at work in all things. So why is this important to know? Why is this important to remember? When we forget that God is all things, and that means me, that means you, that means everybody. When we forget this, we behave differently in the world. We don't walk in faith. Instead, when we forget that God is all things, and that also means us, that we're the activity of God walking around on this planet right now, when we forget, we look at the conditions out there, and we start thinking, wow, this isn't going to work. Why are things so expensive? How are we going to, what's going to happen? Right? We start running through all that in our head. And so then we feel powerless, right? We feel powerless. Now, when we start feeling powerless, sometimes what we will do to feel like we have some power, that we have some control over things, we might get judgmental, right? Getting judgmental is a way to feel like we have power when we don't have power. And how judgmentalness can, example, there's, there could be war somewhere here on this planet. And that could bother us. That could be sad. It's like, we don't want war. We want people to just be happy and live their lives, and for kids to have birthday parties and fun and stuff like that. So we start thinking, wow, that's terrible. There shouldn't be any wars. And so we go on social media. We're going to tell everybody what should be done, right? And there's a lot of that. I know people who are never even been in the military yet are listing all the reasons why we should go to war or we should not go to war. But that's a means of feeling like we have some kind of control. Of course, we never really, I'm just going to make you really comfortable here with being out of control. You're never in control. You're on a planet spinning, careening through space, and there's nothing you can do about that. The shoes that you are wearing, you think you picked those shoes out today. But somebody had to decide to make those shoes. If they hadn't made those shoes, you would not be wearing those shoes. Okay? We do not have as much control as we think we do. Now, when we are feeling the doubt, the worry, and the fear, when we're feeling ourselves wanting to jump in and start judging and criticizing and complaining or blaming, that just means we're failing to remember to recognize the truth of God in all things. That's all it means. We've forgotten to recognize this truth. There's only one power and one presence. Now, things can make us sad, but there's not one thing out there. There's not one, things may be scary. Things can scare us. But there's not one thing in our outer world that can keep us from walking in faith and keep us from being open to receive the divine instruction to do the next best thing. Right? There's nothing out there that can take that away from us. Okay, so remembering this one power. One power. We walk in faith, and that's when we feel empowered, because we're trusting what it is that works through us, for us, as us, and we can do that next right thing, even if it's just a little thing. Even if it's just a little thing. So we have one power, then we have one mind. One mind. So one power, this is how God is all things. God is all things, and that means us. The one mind is the aspect of God with consciousness and creation, that creates and intends. Right? We hear about this in the Hebrew creation story in the book of Genesis. It was interesting. I was reading my original name Bible, and it says El, the name of God is El, is the original substance. Elohim are the powers. And I was like, wow, that sounds so unity. It sounds really unity, the original substance, right? The divine substance that makes all things. So in this creation story, Elohim is creating the cosmos, and it says, let there be light. And then there was light. Right? So in the one mind, in the divine mind, there was imagining light, then intending, let there be light. And then light was made manifest. So we have the substance of God, and then the intention of God, and then the creative expression of God happens. So there's a lot of qualities to God that we don't even think about probably. Okay, so we are also created in the image and likeness of our Creator, which means that in our little universe here, our life or our garden, whatever you want to call it, in our little universe, we also do the same things. We're created in the image and likeness of our Creator, which there's an idea, like each of us here in this room, everybody started off as an idea in the mind of God, right? you are an idea. You are a seed of an idea. In the mind of God, you became a soul, individuated, and now your soul, you as a soul, are using this body to have an experience walking around on this planet right now. Okay, so we also think things into existence. So we imagine something, and we think on it. And the more attention that we give it, the more focus that we give it, eventually it hits a tipping point. So it's no longer just in our mind. It eventually becomes made manifest in our life. Like if you want to prepare a nice dinner, you might think about it and imagine what you would do. And you keep thinking, yeah, that's a great idea, and this sounds really good. And eventually it hits a tipping point. You run to the store and you buy all the ingredients. Hits another tipping point. You're now preparing it. So it's gone from a possibility to potential, to probability, and then it happens. Okay, so God is all things. What is it we're putting our focus and intention on the most? And that's the next thing that we are creating. That's what we're giving energy to. Now, why is this important to know? This part. Everything already exists in the quantum field. What quantum scientists are now calling divine mind, right? Or an original substance. Every potential, every possibility already exists in the field of pure potential. But we have to choose it. And we do our choosing through what we focus on the most, what we're giving our attention to the most. However, we tend to create habitually. So if you, we all know that one person who maybe is a victim, right? They're always a victim. So bad things always happen to them, right? They were late because of this thing happening, and somebody gave them a free ice cream, and it was vanilla and not chocolate. And the universe hates me because I never get the ice cream I like, right? And so it's everything. It's just easy to be a victim, right? Okay, this is habitual thinking, right? And it's the way that we're thinking the most. How are we thinking the most? Now, in spiritual circles, we like to say things like, well, what we really want, what I really want here is peace on earth, right? Everybody wants peace on earth, right? Who wouldn't want peace on earth? So we're thinking, oh, I would love to help participate in creating peace on earth. That's my great desire, peace on earth. And how can I be peace in my own life, be peace and express the peace and be a peace generator? But did you see that guy over there, what he did? That's not, man, that guy was kind of a jerk, right? You saw that. Did you see that? Man, I cannot wait to get on the phone and call all my friends and tell them all about this guy who's making things so hard for everybody else. So we say we want peace, and we feel it, and we think about it for a moment when we're in our little cocoon at home, when we've just finished meditating, and we're still in our jammies, and we still got some coffee. But then we go out into the world, are we still focused on peace? Right? If we're getting riled up, and I know this about myself, it used to be that I could not get behind the wheel of my car and get out and going down Wildwood Canyon or Avenue E without getting totally frazzled, right? And that was my habit. That was my habit. I went there when I didn't think about it. So that's what I was creating. I had to start thinking about it. I had to remind myself to think about it. Well, Deanna, remember, you want to be a peace generator. Don't get all up in that guy's grill. Well, the grills are in the back or in the front of a car. I guess I couldn't, unless I was driving backwards. I don't know. That might have happened once on accident. Okay, but see, so this is why this is important. Every single thing is available to us already. It's already available to us. The best and brightest version of ourselves, or the version of ourselves that we wish and pray so hard we could leave behind. It's all available to us. Now, President George Washington said something really profound, that since he was president, and that was in the 1700s, right? Anybody can remember that? Okay. So it was 300 years ago, right? Close. George Washington said this, okay, and the poets and the New Thought leaders have been paraphrasing him ever since then. And I'm going to paraphrase him a little. He said, within humankind, within every person, there is a spark of the divine. Now, we may waste that spark. We may desecrate that spark. But that spark never leaves us. That spark never leaves us. we choose how we use the divine working through us, for us, as us. Right? Do we want to yell at somebody who's driving different than what we think they should drive? Or do we want to be in our peaceful center so we get to our destination feeling peaceful? So then the people who are there, like we meet, they'll be like, oh, you're so peaceful. I always love when you come over. Okay, so that's one mind. One mind then. One power, one heart. One power, one mind, one heart. Our one heart, if you think of, I like to think of it like this. The one heart is how we manage everything. Okay, it's how we manage. Our heart is a doorway. I know I used to do this meditation years and years ago where I went that way to get to heaven in my meditation, right? I'd go way out that way. But I have learned, I've switched it to where I go here. There's a divine spark within us, within our heart. And actually you can do a deep dive into the Heart Math Institute and read everything they've studied about the heart. They're scientists and doctors. Our heart is a doorway. If we want to meditate, we go in through here. Remember, the kingdom of heaven is within us. So we go through here. And this is how our soul expresses, is through our heart center. Okay, so our heart is a doorway. And we live under the umbrella then, the truth, the spiritual truth of one power, one mind, and one heart by letting love lead the way, letting God lead the way. This is walking in faith. Letting that lead the way. Now, to let love lead the way, let God lead the way, we're making a choice. We're always choosing between two things every day of our live-long lives. We're choosing either from personal will or divine will. Now, personal will, in unity, we like to talk about the little me. Like in personal growth circles, little me is called the ego. And biblically, it's the adversary, the little devil that sits right there and tells you, to do other things that you shouldn't be doing. But see, the little me or the ego, it's just a part of us while we're in a human experience that served our ancestors really, really well. Because our ancestors, they never would just bound out the cave door in the morning, right? They would stop at the door and look out for tigers. Because the little me, that's what it was doing. The little me is just protecting us from cradle to grave. And so thousands of years ago, this was about surviving our environment. And so if we watched a friend of ours get eaten by a bear, then we knew, it's like, oh gosh, that's a real thing. It can really happen. And every single day, the little me would be saying, you're going to get eaten by a bear. You've got to be really, really careful. But see, now we're not being chased by lions and tigers and bears. Our lions and our tigers and our bears are on social media. Our environment, our boss who might be mad at us, and we don't want to get in trouble. And the little me just wants to keep us home and safe from having any adventures. The adventures are dangerous. It's also this part of us, it's the part of us that we may want to do something wonderful, but we don't want to have to change anything we're doing already. The little me will convince us. We don't have to change anything. Don't do anything different. It'll eventually happen. Eventually. But see, if we keep doing what we're doing, what's that saying, right? You keep doing what you're doing, you keep getting what you're getting. The life we have right this moment, we got this life because of things we do. And we can keep doing the same things, and it's okay to stay in this life, but to have the new adventures, the new things happening, we want to choose differently. So this is when we choose from our divine will. Now, divine will, when I was younger, I always thought divine will was, well, what does God want me to do? Never mind what I want to do in this life. What does God want me to do? Right? God. This big sky daddy out there who's going to reward me if I do some horrible thing that he wants me to do. Right? I think God wants me to go to another country and dig a well and get all sweaty. And I don't want to go, and I don't like to fly, but if that's what God wants me to do, okay, that's not divine will. And there are people on this planet who they are dying to go to another country and dig a well for somebody. But see, their divine self is saying, I've got to go to another country and dig a well for somebody. Doesn't that sound like the most amazing thing that you could do? Like, and I'm going to do whatever it takes to get there. I just know that God wants me there because I can't stop thinking about it. I'm going to just die if I can't go. That's divine will, right? It is the thing we are so excited about. the thing we just have to do. Divine will. So it's not God out there directing us what to do. It is the indwelling Spirit guiding us to do something, guiding us to create something that is for the highest good and also brings abundance. This is how we know abundance. And I'm not talking about just like, I'm just making so much money, right? Not that. Our divine will, though, is always about expanding our territory, calling forth more good than we've ever called forth before, calling forth the abundance of love, friendships, creative ideas, and prosperity, yes, also. But see, divine will is always about not just us, but everybody. We're calling forth the good through us, for us, but also to serve others. So that will always be what divine will is, right? Our God self calling us to create something in our lives. Kevin's going to show us a Bible verse here. It's from Matthew, chapter 6, verse 33. This is how teacher Yeshua, the Christ, gave us a simple directive. If you want to follow divine will and do God's will in this world, this is what you do. You seek first the kingdom of God and all his righteousness, and all these things will be added to you. You'll do the miracles. You'll do all the greater things that teacher Yeshua said. All these things I do, you will do and more. Right? Greater things you will do is what he said. Greater things. And he was already doing some pretty great things. So that's going to take imagination to imagine, well, what could be greater, right? What could be greater? But here, we can get stuck here. I know this is where I always get stuck. Seek first the kingdom of God. Oh, I know that. Like I read about it. Right? Kingdom of God. You know, teacher Yeshua said the kingdom is within, and that God is in the kingdom. Well, I know that. But see, just knowing that is not enough. We can know that. We can talk about it. We can write it down. We can put it on sticky notes all over our bathroom mirror. It's the seeking his righteousness and seek all his righteousness. That's the part that moves us into action. That's the part that changes us. And I'm not crazy about the word righteous. I'm not. I've never really liked the word righteous, but I read what it actually means. Righteousness is a state of harmony established in our consciousness. It's a state of harmony in our consciousness. And our consciousness is the heart and the brain working together. This is called heart-brain coherence. That's harmony. That's experiencing harmony. So when we are in harmony, when there's harmony established in our consciousness, we're in alignment with the God force. We are in alignment with that creative power that creates all things. We are in alignment with that force within us that knows what to do and how to do it, and it compels us the next thing to do. Right? It tells us the next thing to do. So we're choosing divine will. When we seek all his righteousness, when we're in harmony, then we're already acting on divine will. We're walking in faith. If we've changed our consciousness to be one of harmony, in alignment with the divine within us, we're already in faith. So we're not acting on fear or worries. There may still be things that we're worried about, but in faith, how that looks is, well, yeah, there's this thing, and it's going to be really hard, and I'm not sure what I'm going to do about it, and I'm not sure when I'm going to even start feeling better, and I'm not sure when this thing is going to be handled, but I know there's that within me that knows what to do and how to do it, and it compels me to act on what it knows. You know, walking in faith doesn't mean all of a sudden everything's just rainbows and unicorns and ice cream, right? Walking in faith means we have a direction. We can do the next best thing for ourselves. So, why is this important? Why is this important? We know why, understanding one power, one mind is important. Now one heart. Why is this so important? I want you to think about something you want. Something you would love to create in your life. How long have you wanted to create this thing? Now, in your experience right now, you probably don't have this thing yet because I said what's something you want, which implies you don't have it yet. But what are you doing right here and now? Are you doing the next right thing? So, like if what you want's right here, every day are you taking a little step toward it? Or are you backing up from it with your choices? Because when we're not in faith, we're backing up from that thing that we desire so much. When we're not in faith, that thing we desire, there's no space for it in our life. When we're not in faith, our own life is shrinking. We're not making room for that new thing. We have to walk in faith to expand our life, to make room for that thing we are desiring. We have to expand our life. And we can only expand our life when we are walking in faith. So this is why this is important, right? We all want that. So here's our call to action. Here's our call to action. Our affirmation, I got this. I'm sorry, it's from a Bible verse, but I forget. I didn't look it up. I have it written down like in one of my previous talks, but I am wonderfully made. Let's say that together. I am wonderfully made. Okay, now I want you to put your hand on your heart and say it again. I am wonderfully made. Each of us were made with intention and purpose. Right? That's what we're here for. You are made from the power that creates worlds. But you weren't just dropped off on this planet. Like, good luck with that. It's a crazy place. I'll see you when you die. I'm sorry. You are created from the power that creates worlds, and that power that creates worlds continues to work through you, for you, and as you. That spark of the divine within you, your soul, using this body. Right now, your body is made of the star stuff, and your soul is made of the power, the intention, the activity of the divine. So you are not dropped off. You are an emanation of the God force. You are an extension of the God force walking around on this planet. Right now, what is being created through you? What is being created? What do you find yourself focusing on the most? Right? Last week, did anybody go on social media last week? I know you don't. Like the slap that was heard around the world was like, everybody had an opinion about that. That was like a big focus right there. And if we have one opinion or another, what are we focusing on, right? Are we being judgy and moving out of faith then? Are we being judgy about something? And it's like, well, I'll have to tell everybody what they ought to be thinking. I'm just going to go on there now and write a little note because I'm really smart. I'm spiritual. I'm so spiritual, so people should listen to me, right? What is it that we're creating? Are we wasting and desecrating that divine spark that's working through us? With judgment or blame or complaining, or worse? Are we wasting and desecrating that spark by watching our dream get farther and farther away from us? Right? Are we doing that? You have a new identity emerging right now. It's happening all around the planet. We've been talking about this, right, since the pandemic hit. It's like, well, the planet is going through a transformation. And it is. I really believe that. Well, what is that transformation? For us, it would be calling forth more good, right? We're here to remember that we're a soul in a body. So we call forth more of the divine through us. When we don't remember we're the soul in a body, we're just wasting our time out there being, complaining or whatever. But calling forth our soul, calling forth the divine through us and into our lives. That's what we're doing. And the better we get at it, the more our divine self is shining. As us in a human body. Right? And it just takes practice. But see, that part of us right now is just it's pushing. It's pushing. We're going to have the biggest challenges now because it's pushing us. Come on, you can get past this. Walk in faith. There'll be a solution. We can do this. We can do this. We got your back. I got your back. However you want to say it. If you are not moving towards your happy outcomes right now, then you don't know this about yourself. You're not remembering this about yourself. And really, we're here to remember ourselves. We're here to get to know ourselves at a deeper level as a divine being walking around in a body. So if we're moving farther away from our happy outcomes, we're not knowing ourselves. We have to know ourselves to move towards something, to get that instruction, to do the next best thing, even if it's a small thing, to do the next best thing, because that opens our life up a little bit at a time, to include the thing that we would like to see in our life. The more we know ourselves, the more we serve our community, the more we serve our family, our friends, our planet, the more we know ourselves. Like, we can say a prayer, and it will go into the internet, and somebody who we don't even know can get like a shot of grace or love or peace. We don't even have to know where they live. Like, they can just receive that from us, because that's what we're putting into the inner realms all the time, right? Just going around the planet. Rumi said, everything in the universe is within you. Ask all from yourself. I didn't like this when I first heard it, because it was like, I wanted my sky daddy to fix everything for me. Taking responsibility can be a little scary. It can actually be a lot scary. But because we're a soul in a body, it doesn't mean we're doing everything alone. Faith very often directs us to a person who can help us. Faith directs us to that person who can hold our hand when we need our hand held. Faith directs us to the person who can maybe do the thing we cannot do for ourselves. Right? Who here would change a tire? Like, I can't. I'm not even going to try. Well, I have to do everything because I'm a spirit in the body and it's all my responsibility. No, I know to just drive home on that flat and ask my husband for it. Nothing bad happened. Like, it was okay. It was okay. It was okay. Okay, so one power, one mind, one heart. This is what allows us to walk in faith. Because one power, one mind, one heart, it's really just us walking around all day saying, God is all things, and that means me. God is all things, and that means my ideas. I had an idea. Like, where do you think it came from, right? I had an idea, and I've been inspired to do a little thing, a little next best thing, and I'm going to do that too. Right? God is all things. I'll just seek first the kingdom of heaven within me. But also, I'm going to seek to establish harmony in my consciousness. Heart, brain, coherence. Right? I will do that. When we can understand and accept who we are and what it is that is working through us, for us, as us, and how much our higher self, our soul, our divine self, whatever you want to call it, how much it wants to keep expanding itself through us. Like, when we can start understanding that, that is how we are creating heaven on earth. So until next time, remember, you're divinely designed to do all this stuff. You are designed. It is within your soul blueprint, or like however you want to look at that, right? It's already in you. It's like the program in a little acorn. It's all there. Everything the acorn needs to grow into a mighty oak tree is already there. And it's everything we need is within that divine spark within us. And everything you do, you are blessed, and so it is. Okay.
Amen.
Amen. All right, we have a premeditation song for you.